I was playing a game of Fall Guys the other day and doing particularly well in this match, and actually won. I'm somewhat of a tryhard when it comes to most competitive games, so naturally it really came to no surprise when I received a message from a random person on the PlayStation 4 network who really thought it was a good idea to message me saying that I was quote-unquote tryharding at a kid's game. End quote. Normally I wouldn't put too much thought into this type of statement and just move on and continue to clap people's cheeks on a video game. However, this was a much different insult than I really had ever received in a video game before. Most of the time I'm receiving insults in the form of, you suck, get good, you're a scrub, easy clap. I had never actually received a message complimenting me on my achievement of being good at something. I was actually quite honored at this point that this man took time out of his day, or woman, to congratulate me on being good at a game. A kid's game, at that. But what exactly makes Fall Guys a kid's game? I don't really understand that mindset. Is it the colors? I mean, it's gotta be the colors. It's throwing some people off. It's just way too colorful. Not until this person brought it to my attention, however, that maybe most people thought of Fall Guys as a kid's game inherently because of pretty colors? What makes it even funnier in this instance is they are calling it a kid's game. They are acknowledging that in their own self-awareness that they believe the game they are playing to be a kid's game, and yet they're congratulating me on being good at it. Or I'm sorry, not being good at it, being a tryhard. Which I guess being a tryhard at a game is being good at a game? I had never really heard of the whole tryhard sort of reference until I started playing Fortnite. I wasn't really big on Twitch in the beginning. I didn't, have a whole lot to do with the emotes. I'm a little older, so that's probably why I'm a little bit out of touch when it comes to these things. However, I do still like to game in my spare time, and understandably have been doing it a lot more during this whole quarantine pandemic thing that's going on in the world. Back to the topic at hand though, I've probably put an uncomfortable and unhealthy amount of thought into why some people seem to believe that Fall Guys is a kid's game. You wouldn't call the original Mario game a kid's game. You would call that game a revolutionary game that changed the shape of the gaming industry. It's absolutely timeless. So massively popular, in fact, that so many sequels and so many spin-offs have been made revolving around that character Mario. And what did that game have? A very colorful world, goofy enemies, and some of the most simplistic controls you will ever find in a video game. That's what made it so popular. People who had never played a video game before in their lives were able to pick this game up and in relatively no time at all begin to play it with some success. All from watching other people play it. Whether that was their kids, their significant other, someone at a laundromat, because yes, back in the day you used to have to go places to play video games, and I am old enough to remember those days. Okay, boomer. In fact, Mario was the first game I had ever played as a child. I think where Fall Guys sort of succeeds is where, in a lot of ways, Fortnite really failed. And this isn't really a video on the failings of Fortnite at all, in no way. I just like to look at the similarities and popularity of both of these games. Fortnite exploded, became massively popular, and now everyone knows about it. However, the skill gap in this game has grown exponentially in time. Back in the day, you were able to jump on a game and play with your friends and find relative success and get wins every once in a while and even kills. These days, if you're not good at the game, you will not succeed. And sure, I guess you can say that they added bots to the games to, try to replicate this level of success, but that's not what the game was originally all about. Let me get back to Fall Guys though. Fall Guys has expertly situated itself in a way where it can become the next big thing. However, it's going to take a little bit of self-awareness to do just that. I think the number one thing that Fall Guys really needs to focus on, and Devolver really needs to focus on at this point, is the community as a whole. Where most popular games really fail when they're picking up steam is they don't listen to the large community at hand. The larger community hand being people who are not streamers. I'm not saying that streamers' opinions are invaluable in this aspect. It's just that streamers make up a very small percentage of a population of a video game. And as most of us unfortunately know who are big into video gaming community, streamers sometimes have a tendency to overplay game. And the more they overplay these games and the more man hours they put into these games, the more frustrated and aggravated they become with them. The viewers very easily pick up on this, and at the same time they pick up the same opinions as the streamer themselves. I mean, some of these people can't even form their own opinions about something. That's just the sad reality of it. And these ideas have a tendency to run rampant on social media, like wildfire across the plains. And when this begins to happen in a community of gamers playing a certain game, you then have people who are working on the game, like developers, beginning to cut communications off. And when that begins to happen, the game surely dies weeks, months, years later, but it does die. But right now, the best thing that Devolver can do is listen to the community. I think that is one of the most, if not most important thing that video game developers need to do in the modern video game industry today to succeed. And really, it should be, because modern video games are all about longevity. I mean, there's a very big reason why GTA 5 and Skyrim are continuously shoved into consumers' faces on a daily basis. Anyway, I've gotten way off track here. Let's get back to the topic at hand, which is Fall Guys a kid's game? I feel kind of silly even having to ask that question. I mean, of course it's a kid's game, but is it just a kid's game, or is it more than a kid's game? And in my opinion, it's much more than just a kid's game. It's a product for a vast majority of consumers, and that's really what it's all about these days, people. Your grandma can play Fall Guys, your mom can play Fall Guys, your dog can play Fall Guys, because it's such an easy game to pick up. In my opinion though, the thinking that it is a kid's game is probably because of the way it looks. I mean, honestly, it does have the whole kid's game look to it, and like I said previously, I guess that's because of the pretty bright colors and the easy mechanics to pick up on. Some people in the gaming community think the more difficult a game is to pick up and to play, the more adult the video game is. However, let's take a game like PUBG for example. Now, to preface this, I have never actually played PUBG. However, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the general consensus about PUBG is that it is definitely an adult-themed video game. I, however, have played many shooters in my lifetime, and I gotta say, if people are basing the controls of a video game and the mechanics of a video game on whether or not the video game is for kids or adults, let me be the first to say that most of these online shooter games, when played with a controller, are not that difficult to pick up. You point the gun and you shoot them. Maybe you have to find heals every once in a while, and then you rinse and repeat. Kinda like Fall Guys, except you're not picking up guns and you're not healing. You're jumping, you're diving, and you're grabbing. Like I said before, simple mechanics reign supreme. The more simple a video game is to pick up and play, the better it will sell. Period. In my mind, video games are just meant to be played for fun. I mean, if you really enjoy playing My Little Pony, screw everyone else. You are having fun. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. People really love to hate on other people. It's sort of become the famous pastime of the internet, and I just kind of despise it. Just let people live their lives and play their games, man. And if you really don't like the game that much, don't play it. What are you trying to prove? But it's not inherently a kid's game. It's a game for everybody. If you want to sit there and believe it's a kid game, go right ahead. It's your opinion. I think it's a pretty crap opinion, but it is your opinion nonetheless. And that's basically it. Play what you want to play, and don't worry about what everyone else is thinking. Whether it's your friends, your parents, your relatives, you name it. If they make fun of you for playing a kid's game, challenge them to a 1v1 in Fall Guys. And then when you absolutely decimate them in the game, turn to them and say, you just lost at a kid's game. Anyway guys, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. If you go ahead and like and subscribe, I'll love you forever. Peace guys.